Very called to become a member of the Catholic Church.
Love the Catholic Church. It's just the best place to be.
From the studios of EWTN, this is Open Line. In North America, call toll-free 1-800-585-9396. That's 1-800-585-9396. Outside North America, call 1-205-271-2985. You can also send an email to openline@ewtn.com.
Happy Tuesday to each and every one of you, and much to the chagrin of my coworkers here at EWTN in Birmingham, Alabama, my voice has recovered tremendously since yesterday's program. We're Open Line Tuesdaying it with our pro-life warrior, Barbara McGuigan. If you've got a question for Barbara, the number's 1-800-585-9396. That's toll-free anywhere in North America, 1-800-585-9396. If you're outside the United States and Canada, your number is 205-271-2985. 205-271-2985, or you can send us an email, openline@ewtn.com. I'm Jack Williams. Elena Rodriguez produces the program, and your call screener is Mr. Matt Gubensky, our hostess, as she is every Tuesday, our own pro-life warrior, Barbara McGuigan.
Hi, Jack.
How are you, Barbara?
I couldn't be better. How about you?
Terrific, thank you.
You sound like you have a bad cold, though.
You know what? I'm 150 times better than I was yesterday. It was.
Praise God.
Thank goodness I was with that loudmouth John Martinoni yesterday, so he was able to fill all the voids in the sound. But I'm much better today, and hopefully I'll be even better tomorrow.
Awesome.
So did you have some fun this weekend?
You know, I certainly did. I would have been at this incredible rally that went on, and the protest outside of Planned Parenthood's killing and vivisection centers. Looks like 64,980 people were protesting, Jack, and I hear you were one of them as well in Birmingham. Is that right?
That's exactly correct. And Elena Rodriguez, the lovely and talented Elena Rodriguez, our producer, was out there as well.
Awesome. Oh, that is just awesome. Well, I went on the air for the Good Fight. I have to go online with them at 10:30, and ours was from 9 to 11 in the morning. And so by the time I would have gotten to our abortion center, I would have had to hurry up, turn around, and come right back to go on the air. So I wasn't able to be a part of it. But the tally, they say, could go up to 70,000. And really, this is unprecedented in the history of legalized murder, because we've had great crowds, like at the March for Life, but at almost half of the Planned Parenthood facilities across the country, flooded with pro-life protesters. That was unprecedented. So I was just absolutely thrilled. And how was your protest, Jack? Were there lots of people?
There were, lining both sides of the street. About a couple hundred, 200-300. Thumbs up, Elena, on 200 or 300. I think that's probably...
That seems about right.
Yeah, about 200 or 300.
Good media coverage, too.
Yeah, EWTN Radio, well represented, as our program director, Mr. Tom Price, and his wife were there.
Wow.
Angelica Duarte, one of our producers here at the network, was there, so EWTN Radio well represented. And our call screener, Matt Gubensky, had his proxies at the event. His mom and dad were at the
event. He did. Yeah, I had some proxies out there, too. I am just so grateful for this, and we really need to thank Eric Scheidler and Monica Migliorino-Miller was another one who started this whole thing, and we have to keep up with them because there will be more. You can bet on that. And I'd love to hear from our listeners about
Well, let's break with
protest.
our normal protocol and go to the phones right away, because we've got Elizabeth from San Mateo, California, listening on EWTN.com. And Elizabeth, it looks like you were at one of the protests over the weekend.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi.
Hey, yeah, I was in Redwood City, here on the peninsula, San Francisco Peninsula.
Sure.
And it's right on El Camino. It used to be a Chevy's restaurant, which I wish it still was, but it's a Planned Parenthood. And we had, for us, about 130 people, which was a lot for us here on the peninsula.
Sure it is.
We had 2 priests, which is also a real gift, and we had a wonderful deacon also. And we had Protestants, brothers and sisters. It was just, we never, ever. And we ran out of signs. We had a cart that we used for 40 Days for Life and when we're out at Baywood in San Mateo. We ran out of signs, and that's never, ever happened.
Oh, isn't that amazing? Well, my daughter and son-in-law and my 4 grandbaby boys were all in San Rafael at that particular abortion clinic, and they are infamous for their late-term abortions there as well. So I was really
I
great.
didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was told.
And our beautiful Archbishop was in San Francisco.
A Corleone? Oh,
yes,
he was
baby.
There? Awesome.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, he's awesome. You know, he's prayed with us at Baywood in San Mateo on an occasion too, which we never had in the past, ever.
Oh, my goodness.
So
well, that's wonderful.
Yes,
Gosh.
we need to keep the momentum up. We can't just drop it.
Well, we really do. There's no doubt about it. And, of course, people are saying, if we deprive Planned Parenthood of their government funding, who is going to take care of the millions of women they take care of? And I guess you probably saw the map that Alliance for Defending Freedom, ADF, put out. There are 13,540 clinics providing comprehensive health care for women. Hello, exactly.
Yeah.
No excuse. And these places do not dismember and cut open and cut the limbs and everything else off, and so they can send them off to procurement houses or companies. So 13,540. If we took the $500 million that the government gives from our tax dollars from Planned Parenthood and gave it to these 13,540 clinics, wow.
Yeah.
It would change so many things. So Elizabeth Dearheart, thank you for calling the show. God love you.
Bless your heart.
Oh, listen, bless yours too. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Barbara?
Yes. Did you want to jump?
You know what? I think I did, but maybe I don't.
Well, I just love this lady. She's called in, and I think I've probably met her before, too, when I was up at the Walk for Life. So,
well, good on Archbishop Corleone. We had the Bishop Emeritus here in Birmingham, Bishop David Foley, who was the lead-off speaker at the rally here in Birmingham.
Oh, wow. See, isn't that great? Well, there are people, I don't know if you saw, there's a trailer now for the 8th video, but the 8th video from the Center for Medical Progress, they have not actually released the 8th video yet other than the trailer, but the 7th video... Are you aware of the 7th video, Jack?
I am aware, and let's talk about that in just 1 second. We're also going to talk to Ed. We're driving through Dallas, Texas, Nick in Rochester, New York. And we have plenty of time for your phone calls as well at 1-800-585-9396. Toll free anywhere in North America, 1-800-585-9396. If you're outside the United States and Canada, 205-271-2985. Open Line Tuesday.
Next time on Mother Angelica Live Classics. With all the stresses in the world, Mother sympathizes with just how difficult it can be to live with a Christian attitude. She shares how to overcome these hurdles, even when the world is tough today. Next time on EWTN's Mother Angelica Live Classics.
Podcasts of Open Line are available within 24 hours of live broadcast. Go to EWTN.com and click on Multimedia.
60 Seconds with Mother Angelica.
You can be too generous. For example, if a man comes home with his paycheck and say he's just got $100, he's got 5 children, he's got rent, gas, and electric to pay, and he sees a poor man there, and he gives him the whole $100. And you say, oh, God's going to reward him. But see, the gas and electric company aren't going to think that way. That man was too generous. Now you say, well, how could he be too generous? He has his family to think about. He has his rent to pay. These are just debts and just obligations. Now he could have given part of that, but to throw away all of it is to use a virtue to an excess. Now you can do that with virtues. You can do that with any good thing.
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
This is Open Line on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. If you have a question or comment, call 1-800-585-9396. Outside North America, call 1-205-271-2985 or send an email to openline@ewtn.com.
We'd love to hear what you think of our programming here at EWTN Radio. Give EWTN Radio's listener comment line a call, 205-795-5773. That's available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Barbara, you were talking about the trailer for what will soon be the 8th video, and then, of course, what was revealed in that horrific 7th video regarding Planned Parenthood's exploits.
You know what? It made me cry, actually. It actually made me cry when I saw the 7th video, the part that they released. I mean, we know that they're on the carpet. I mean, their gig is up. Planned Parenthood's gig is up. And even STEM Express and these companies that are procuring all of these organs for research. But this one was too much. But you know what? Before I go into this, Jack, I do want to give a heads up to moms or dads who are driving kiddos home from school right now. And right now, I mean, I know it's a different time back east there and Central Time too, so it's impossible to discuss what much of the media and the White House are blacking out of the news coverage without giving some very graphic mental images. So I suggest that if your children are young and definitely not emotionally and intellectually mature enough to listen to such graphic comments, I suggest you turn the station and listen to the podcast of Open Line Tuesday, which is available just a couple of hours after we're on the air. You go to www.ewtn.com/podcast. Or what I just found out from our precious producer is you can go on SoundCloud. One word, soundcloud.com, which is like YouTube, but audio only. Okay, so I want to give a heads up. So I realize what has been revealed by the Center for Medical Progress in their videos is hard to imagine, much less here on radio. And of course, Jack, I just want people to know that our intention is certainly not to offend anyone's sensibilities, but I have something to ask. I ask that each of you who are listening now, I ask you to offer up all of your emotional pain, even physical pain. I mean, sometimes this stuff can make you sick to your stomach that you might experience, because I assure you the pain that we might have to suffer is nothing compared to the pain these late-term babies suffer. So that is a fact. And if you're thinking, I know this is horrific, why do we need to know these facts? I ask you to consider the over 65,000 people, some probably once pro-choice or even still pro-choice, who went out into the streets to protest at the Planned Parenthood killing centers. Why? Because they were infuriated by David Delayden's videos. Many had no idea of this grisly business that Planned Parenthood operates. So for one more second, I want to say that when you hear about the 7th shocking video, Holly O'Donnell, and I'll say this quickly, she tells the harrowing story of her supervisor at Planned Parenthood who asked her, first of all, to see something kind of cool. That was her quote. And she taps the heart of this late-term little baby boy whose heart was still beating after the abortion that sometimes occurs. She tapped the heart again, Jack, and his heart started to beat again. The San Jose Planned Parenthood, where this took place, does abortions up to 20 weeks of pregnancy.
Well,
so
that's what they report, up to 20 weeks.
Well, exactly.
You seem to have some evidence that it goes beyond that.
Oh, please, of course. So her instructor told her that they were going to harvest the intact baby's brain by cutting down the middle of the baby's face. And she started at the chin, and then she gave Holly the scissors and told her that she needed to cut down the middle of the face to harvest the intact brain. I mean, no one needs to tell us this is beyond sick and beyond barbaric. This is diabolical. How the devil would like to deface every child of God. You've heard of attempted suicide. Well, this is attempted deicide as well. The devil attempts to deface and to destroy God by destroying his image and likeness, and he succeeds with each and every abortion. So, there's a lot more to discuss at this, but I want to get all to the callers. But this is something that has to be said.
Next up is Edward driving through Dallas, Texas. He's listening on Guadalupe Radio AM 910. Edward, thanks for calling. You're on with Barbara.
Hi, Edward.
Hi, thank you.
Sure.
I had a question that I think kind of dovetails with what's been going on with the Planned Parenthood right now. I guess about a week ago, or it might be 2 weeks ago now, the German Bishops' Conference was in the news because they had approved brain death as a criteria for harvesting of organs for, I guess, adults or children who had died.
Yeah.
And I was wondering. I mean, I've heard plenty of stories of people who didn't need extraordinary means, who were not on extraordinary measures for life support, but were declared brain dead, who had later come out of it.
Sure.
And, I was just wondering, how can a bishop, or is this the teaching of the church? And if it's not, how can a bishop's conference declare something like that, especially since, we acknowledge that unborn life is fully human and should be cared for, despite the unconscious nature of the unborn. How can that be done for, I guess, born people too?
Well, here's the thing. Sure, you make all the sense in the world, and some of the German bishops have come up with some irregular ideas of late when it came to the family, for one. I think that this will be brought up again when the upcoming synod takes place. But the church says that you must be dead. You must be dead. And, Dr. Paul Byrne has said over and over again that brain death is not a criteria. If the heart is still beating, you have to just kind of look at this and wait it out. If you don't have to be all hooked up to extraordinary machines or things to keep you alive. But if they unhook these machines at a certain given time when it's permissible, and the heart is still beating, even though the brain appears to be dead according to their machines. It's my understanding that this is not the case. This is not the case. Many people are still alive when I shouldn't say many, I don't know how many, but to be more accurate, there are stories of people who were NDEs, they experienced near-death experiences, and they say that they heard the people talking about the fact that they were brain dead. That was one of the criteria they were going by. And this is something that has been going on in medicine for a while. And I know that there are certain doctors that are fighting it all the time. So I'm going to look this up a little better, and I'll talk more at length on it next week. The church says you do not have to have any extraordinary treatment if you don't want it. And if you're in the dying process, of course, if your stomach no longer processes food, you don't have to have a feeding tube, that sort of thing. But I will come up with something more concrete on what the church teaches actually on brain death. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. We appreciate the phone call. Next up is Louise in Northern Kentucky, listening on Sacred Heart, AM 940. Louise, you're on with Barbara McGuigan.
Hi, Louise.
Hi. Thank you so much for your work there. I didn't know
welcome.
you brought up, I was grateful you brought up asking people to pray for the unborn babies.
Yeah.
They talk about that fetal pain bill, and I was wondering about that so I thought these babies feel pain.
Goodness.
And so I'm glad you brought that up, something that we can do, everyone can, offer
Sure.
our sufferings, and, even if you can't make it to the marches and that. But I didn't know if you knew there was another one that just came out, Breaking on Life.
You know what? It just came out, and I didn't have a chance. It was number 8, right? It just came out this morning?
Yeah, because it's the trailer, and then I think it goes into more detail about this Saint Dyer
Oh, Kate Dyer. Yeah, I did see. Oh, goodness, yes. I did see that. Yep, I did see that.
This morning, I guess, and it said that, and he said, it was Davidson, what's his name?
David Delayden. David
Yes.
Delayden. Yeah,
He
this
said
was...
Congress and law enforcement should immediately seize all fetal tissue files from STEM Express and all communications and contracts with Planned Parenthood. The evidence that Planned Parenthood profits from the sale of aborted baby parts is now overwhelming.
Yep.
And not one more dime of taxpayer money should go to their corrupt and fraudulent criminal enterprise. And apparently things that she said prove that.
Oh,
you know.
I did see this. Louise. And again, you think, when do we have to stop talking about this? Never. Until something happens and we can defund these barbarians, never can we stop. This is demonic. This is diabolical activity. The devils are dancing. And when it talked about Kate Dyer, who is the CEO of STEM Express, just for those who weren't sure of the name, that's a new name for all of us. She works with nearly 100 abortion clinics nationwide, and about 50% of them are Planned Parenthood clinics. And she says this. And also she jokes. She laughs and she jokes about researchers being squeamish about receiving baby parts in the mail. I mean, can you imagine? She talks about how when they send heads in the mail, the calvariums, remember what Father Rutler asked, have you heard of Calvary? That's where the word calvarium came from. And, you look at that, and she says, they tell the people, the procurers say, at least close the eyes. So when we open up these boxes, we don't have these eyes glaring at us. She said this freaks out the lab techs. They have meltdowns. And she says, so it's just like, I think, quite frankly, I'm quoting her, that's why a lot of researchers ultimately, some of them want to get into other things. They want to look at bone marrow. They want to look at adipose, sort of adult human, kind of adult-based sampling. They want to avoid publishing a paper that says it was derived from fetal tissue. Really? Why is that? Why is that? Because you have to face a dead baby killed for its body parts and gives you bad dreams. It gives you bad dreams when you see the eyes glaring back at you. Is that why you don't want to look at this? So, the whole thing is, and then this, and I'll stop in a second here. But when she said that she was asked if she had a good relationship, STEM Express, with Planned Parenthood leadership, do you feel that support from Cecile, right, and from Deborah? They asked her point blank. She says, everyone at PPFA. She says, I just think that you're in the cause or you're not. If you're not in the cause, they don't need you around. They need champions. And if you're not a champion, then you should go. That's just, I don't know. The clinics are very guarded, as they should be. Who do they let in their house? They let champions in their house, right? I think it's that same concept. And these are her words, Kate Dyer's words. I'm going champions in their house. Champions of death and dismemberment. Champions of blood money. I mean, how far can we go? I mean, this is no different, and you've heard me say this before, of the Aztec chieftains ripping the hearts out of babies, once again, babies and adults. That's why Our Lady of Guadalupe came to say, stop this. This is terrible. So, I mean, Louise, I did see this, and I'm thankful that you brought it up, Thank you.
There was a trailer, and then I think the other one just came out. That's the whole video of that.
That's what I haven't seen, the whole video. Because, see, they're trying to say in the media that these have all been edited. What do you mean? These are actual conversations. And so they released the whole video so that you can see nothing's been edited. One of the videos was something like 5 hours or something, one of the beginning ones. Oh, my goodness. So it's so clear now that Planned Parenthood and STEM Express are breaking the law. And they have to be defunded, as you said, Louise. Thanks for being involved in this. You are the champion.
Thanks so much, Louise, for that phone call. We're going to talk to Terry about a protest that was attended in the state of Michigan. Talk to Susie, Nick, and Carolina as well. Open Line Tuesday rolls on with Barbara McGuigan.
Coming up later today on Cresta in the Afternoon.
Major news agencies report that hackers have released the names of 32 million people seeking to have an affair. My guest, Dr. Gregory Popcak, works with hundreds of people fighting their way back from the hurt and trauma of infidelity. The good news is there are effective ways to heal the hurt caused by adultery.
Cresta in the Afternoon, later today on EWTN Radio.
Anna Mitchell here, and I hope you can join me for the Tuesday edition of the Sunrise Morning Show. We'll be celebrating the feast day of King St. Louis IX. Paula Westwood will join us for our weekly pro-life update. Plus, Dr. Gregory Popcak continues our series on his book, Broken Gods.
The Sunrise Morning Show.
On the next Catholic Connection with Teresa Tomeo.
We'll keep you closely connected to the faith with the latest from Rome, the front lines of the pro-life movement, and we'll also take a look at other crucial issues facing you and your family in our one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church.
Catholic Connection, weekday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Christ gives you a second chance.
Get a fresh look and a second take on life.
Through the eyes of faith, love, and mercy. Take two.
Take two
with Jerry and Debbie.
Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Weekdays, noon and midnight Eastern on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
Join us for the Daily Mass, celebrated each day here on EWTN.
Thank you for listening to EWTN Radio.
This is Open Line on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. If you have a question or comment, call 1-800-585-9396. Outside North America, call 1-205-271-2985 or send an email to openline@ewtn.com.
Tonight on Mother Angelica Live Classics, Mother unpacks the 20th chapter of the Gospel of Matthew. That's tonight, 8 Eastern on EWTN Television. And tomorrow night on EWTN Live, Father Mitch welcomes Father John Jamnicki. And again, we'll have to wait till tomorrow, and we'll ask Father Mitch exactly what he's going to talk to Father Jamnicki about. If you look for Father Jamnicki on the internet, he's got his hand in a lot of stuff. He's a busy dude, so he could be talking about any number of things. So we'll find out tomorrow from Father Mitch. The show will be tomorrow night, 8 Eastern on EWTN Television. Back to the phones we go. Terry's in the great state of Michigan. He attended a protest over the weekend. Terry, you're on with Barbara McGuigan.
Hi, Jack and Barbara. Yes, I was in the protest at Livonia, Michigan, suburb of Detroit. We had 100 people. We had 2 Catholic priests and a Protestant preacher. Catholics and Evangelicals United. It was very good.
Yes.
I want to say to folks listening, if your media did not cover this event, which is unprecedented, over 300 rallies across the nation on one day, you call them and ask them why. And you also call your senators in Washington, and don't let them tell you that these are fake videos, because if they are fake videos, how come the officials at STEM Express and Planned Parenthood are coming forth and saying, oh, that's not me, that's not me.
Right. There you
I
go.
don't hear any of this. So these are just, lies that the pro-aborts are telling us. So continue to call your senators. You want defunding of Planned Parenthood, and if your media did not cover this, hold their feet to the fire. Hey, this was a major, unprecedented event. Why didn't you cover this?
Yes, there you go. That's a very, very good point, Terry. And thanks for your call, good man. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, Terry. God bless you. We'll head now to Rochester, New York. Nick listening on FM 92.9. Nick, you're on with Barbara McGuigan.
Hi, Nick.
Hi, Barbara. It's a fascinating topic, but with there's so many implications, and it made something click in my head with the earlier call that I hadn't thought of before. It was about the concept and the word champions.
Yes.
I don't know if you happen to be aware of in Oriental history, and this history of the samurais, and in Japan they believed in medieval Japan, feudal Japan, they believed heavily and utilized heavily seppuku, which was otherwise people know it as harikiri.
Okay.
Are you aware that when that was utilized, and it was utilized sometimes in one case to a great battle, which was won by a general who had 100 of his best men come forward. He called them in front of the enemy of I think it was 5,000 or 10,000. The opponent, they were outnumbered, but he wanted to impress upon them how fierce his people were, but how obedient they were. And he commanded them to commit seppuku, to do this. They dismounted from their mounts, and they knelt down. They got down to the position that they get in to do this. And what is very important here is that there's another individual involved here, that each man that was going to perform this act upon himself had another person who they entrusted, who they knew loved them and cared for them. Now, they entrusted, but they were termed as, the translation would be, their champion. Now, this champion, his dedicated role was that as soon as the individual committed the suicidal act of tearing his innards, slicing them, because with a short sword katana, I believe it was used. They were irreparable. It was irreparable damage at that time, side to side, slitting one's belly. And the role of the champion was to immediately and then very quickly chop off his head. So when you tell me that the earlier story was to slice into a baby's head to take its brain, or that they do these slicings and decapitation, in other words, this atrocious murder of these unborns, and in some case closer to extended term. It brought to mind, when you use the word champion, that they are using that context for that word, and whether it's with their awareness or whether it's a thing of language, that sometimes language can betray or can indicate the psychology of a people or a time. That is well known by people who, my hobby, I love words and entomology, and I write. This is a fascination for me, and that you brought that up and used the word champions, that they refer to themselves as champions.
That's it. That was this Kate Dyer talking. That's what she was saying. You have to be a champion to do this sort of business. So, yes, your association there, the connection between the two is spot on. I'm not sure if they understand that connection, but it surely is spot on. And, she also revealed in that video that Planned Parenthood is preferable to them to use. This is the CEO of STEM Express, because she said of the volume of abortions they perform. And she agrees that Planned Parenthood executives support this grisly business. So, I mean, she revealed a lot. And, I don't know. I don't usually talk about these things on the radio because they are so grisly. But I don't know if you've ever heard of the Dr. Anthony Levatino. I met him many moons ago. He was a former abortionist who converted. And he talks about the toughest part of a D&E, a dilation and extraction abortion, is extracting the baby's head. Now, this is when they're not trying to use it for research per se, but just trying to perform an abortion. And he said the head of a baby that age, and he's talking about a later term, is about the size of a plum. and is now free-floating inside the uterine cavity. You will know you have it right when you crush down on the clamp. This is after the mother's cervix has been dilated, of course, and you're trying to reach the baby. And when you crush down on the clamp and you see a pure white gelatinous material issue from the cervix, that was the baby's brains. You can then extract the skull pieces. And he said if you have a really bad day like I often did, a little face may come out and stare back at you. Now this goes on every day in this land of the free, home of the brave. Give me a break. To think that we have stood for this for so long. I mean, it I don't know what to say. It's too much. Too much. It has to stop. Because you know what? I fear God's wrath. Because as you remember, Billy Graham's daughter said, that if God doesn't apologize, how did she put it? Something about Gomorrah, Sodom and Gomorrah needs an apology if God doesn't do something, because this is unbelievable. So, Nick, thank you for your input. There's so much to talk about here. I appreciate your call, good man, and thanks for praying for these people that take part in this. They are in complete darkness, the deadening of the soul. Of course, that doesn't happen literally. Our souls will live forever. They'll either live forever in eternal glory or they will live in the pit of hell. It's up to them to choose where they want to go. God doesn't drag anyone kicking and screaming into heaven. We have to choose heaven. So we pray for their immortal souls that they get out of the darkness. Thanks, Nick.
And Barbara, this is Elena, just to bring in our next caller, Susie, who is listening in Bremerton, Washington on Sirius XM 130. Susie, you're live with EWTN's Open Line. Barbara McGuigan, what's your question?
Hi, Susie.
Hi, Barbara. Hey, thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I wanted to bring up something. The local affiliates in our area.
Yes.
Which is, the Seattle ones, right?
Right.
But they quote, I'm saying this loosely, they reported the protest, but then they followed it up with,
Sure.
However, and they said the name of the group, the videos, they admitted that they had edited the videos. So, as you can tell, the implication was that it was all fraudulent anyway.
Yeah. They walk it back all the time. That's right. But we know why this is true, because they're in bed with Planned Parenthood. A lot of these chairman of the boards, right? We talked about that last week or the week before. I can't remember.
But, I want to know, do you know how it was edited so that we can, because I get people on Facebook and they're saying it was just a big lie anyways. I want to be able to speak back on that with some, information so that I can, be knowledgeable on that. Do you know how I can get that information?
You mean to verify that these are true videos?
Yeah, and to verify that, it was edited, but how it was edited so that it didn't...
Oh, well, they have released the entire video of, 5 hours was released at one time. I don't remember if this was 1, 2, or 3 of the videos, but they have 30 hours. When I talked to David DeLayden at the Napa Institute, they have 30 hours of these tapings.
Okay, so you can go and get it fully without editing.
Right. Yes, you
cool.
can.
That's good to know. Good to know. And then I have another thing I wanted to suggest.
Okay.
The Rosary Crusade?
Yes, sure.
Well, what if every Catholic, every Protestant, because there are some that pray the Rosary, what if we all united across the country, across the world, and prayed the Rosary?
Sure.
United. for the unborn and for the protection of life and for the protection of marriage and family.
Well, I think it's a great idea, and we do that when we do protest. I mean, all the Catholics, sometimes the evangelicals will pray the rosary with us. It's a beautiful uniting thing to do. And of course, the Blessed Mother is the most powerful intercessor before the throne of God. We would be crazy not to. Sure.
Yeah, if we could, because we all, we do it when you're right. We do it in front of the abortion clinic, and we do it every day in our homes. But if we picked like an hour, like you do the 3 o'clock hour, you try to for the Divine Mercy.
Divine Mercy, sure.
That are dying. So what if we did like, the 12 o'clock hour and tried to unite it across the world? Mm-hmm. It would be so beautiful. And you know what? Our Lady will intercede. She did it in Lepanto. She can do it here.
Right. Oh, you are so right. So right, Susie. And thank you so much for your call.
God bless you, sweetheart.
God bless you, too.
Thanks.
Appreciate the phone call, Susie. Straight ahead, we'll talk to Iris in Virginia, Lisa in Rhode Island, and we've still got time for your phone calls at 1-800-585-9396. Toll free anywhere in North America, 1-800-585-9396. Open line Tuesday with Barbara McGuigan.
Washington, D.C., the first pope to address Congress. New York, a visit to the United Nations. Philadelphia, the world meeting of families. 3 cities, 3 landmark events. This September on EWTN Catholic Radio. Pope Francis in America. Will you be there? To find out more, stay tuned.
Tomorrow on EWTN Radio's Open Line, Father Mitch Pacwa takes your calls about the Bible, the Church, and the writings of the Pope. 3 p.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Hello, this is Janet Morena of Priests for Life with Pro-Life Update. For years, Father Frank Pavone has been preparing a pro-life manifesto explaining the core strategies for ending abortion in America and around the world. Now, Thomas Nelson Publishers has released this book called Abolishing Abortion. We'd like to send you a personalized copy. This book shows how abolishing abortion has to be the top priority of our moral and national agenda, and how this task deserves our full commitment and our willingness even to give our lives for our unborn brothers and sisters. This manifesto combines key principles with practical strategies and shows the necessity of exposing the abortion procedure and the industry that performs it in all their ugliness to the light of day. Order the book at abolishingabortion.com, and let's all recommit ourselves to this urgent task of social justice. This is Janet Morena on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
This is Open Line on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. If you have a question or comment, call 1-800-585-9396. Outside North America, call 1-205-271-2985 or send an email to openline@ewtn.com.
Entering the home stretch of an Open Line Tuesday with Barbara McGuigan. Next up is Iris in Virginia. She's listening on Sirius XM Channel 130. Iris, you're on with Barbara McGuigan.
Hi, Iris.
Thanks for taking my call. It's good to hear you.
Good to hear you, too. What can we do for you?
I just wanted to make the comment and even encourage parents that it's never too early to get our kiddos started, in being pro-life. I know you made the comment because it's not something that you want to hear kids on the radio as the first thing, but I have a 2-year-old, almost 2-year-old, and a 5-month-old. And my little girl was only about 10 months when I was pregnant. And we showed her the sonogram video, and she was there actually for the sonogram, and she was saying, baby, baby. And I'm like, yeah, honey, it's a baby. Like, how come you get it,
Right,
and it's not, and adults don't. But I had that experience, too, with my brothers and sisters. We did explain to them what abortion was when they were maybe in about first grade and kindergarten. And they actually, not graphically, of course, as they have their 11 and 12 now. But as the years have gone by, they do understand. We, participate in the 40 Days for Life. And it just creates a conscience on our kids. We had an experience once, which is, life-changing, not just for them and for us as well, where it was a cold winter day, morning, actually, and there was a protesting outside of the clinic around us.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not planning on stopping by, but we did just, stop by. We had a few minutes between doing something and the next thing. And one of the ladies, because it's not a Planned Parenthood in Manassas where we live, but there is a pro-life clinic right next to the abortion clinic. So the pro-life ladies stand there and, just try to make the last chance for these babies as their mothers are walking in.
Sure.
And it was so amazing. It just makes me want to cry every time we talk about it. The lady got out of the car and she ran to the pro-life clinic. And my sister was there, and we just started screaming. It was just such a joyous moment. And I thought, wow, she's only 9 and she's experiencing this, that we can make a change. We do have the power to turn these horrendous acts that are happening. So I just encourage all the parents, make your kiddos pro-life. They understand it. We go to the March for Life. We do everything, and they understand. Like, they get it. They're little gifts from God, and they accept life as, God intends.
Oh, you're so right, Iris. I agree with you 100%.
And
My children...
They're also a witness that can't be argued with.
And that's it. They recognize it's a baby, They do. There was a book by Susan Vinny, I want to say, called Who Broke the Baby? And that's what her little child said. And I think she was probably about 4 years old when she came in and saw on her mom's desk, who was involved in the pro-life movement, pictures of abortion. Who broke the baby? They understand what we sophisticated and not so innocent do not seem to understand, and that's really important. And one time I ran into this when I was speaking all day for 3 days at a high school, and one of the teachers got upset because I was showing, with the parents' permission, what abortion looked like, right? And the mom of 8 kids went home, and she just said, Barbara told me this the next day. She said, when I was saying my rosary, I prayed to the Blessed Mother. I said, is it wrong what Barbara's doing, showing the truth about abortion? And she said, it's not that she heard a voice or anything like that, but the next thought on her mind was, I showed the children at Fatima what hell looked like. Those were little kids. That, if you read the whole story of Fatima, it's like she opened up the ground and showed them demons. I mean, what could be more frightening than that? Okay, this is demonic. Yes, when we show them what abortion looks like, it is the devil. It is demonic. So I agree with you, Iris. But I do think that, like you said, you wouldn't want them to hear. You have to kind of plant the seeds first, and like you are starting as they are younger. Very good. Thank you for calling, dear heart.
God bless you, Iris. We will certainly keep you and your family in our prayers. We'll head now to Mansfield, Ohio. Kay, listening on FM 89.5. Kay, thanks for calling. You're on with Barbara.
Hi, Kay.
Hi, Barbara. I had 2 thoughts. One,
good.
My first thought, rather, was the lady that called in just a little while ago, and we should pray the rosary, and at this time, that's all sounds fine. But the reality is every one of us as citizens of the United States of America can pick up a phone, pick up a pen, and lobby. And if they, who are elected in power, if they want to disengage from this, you know what? Don't listen to me. Just watch the videos. And I think the people figure it out very easily, because I know all of this was so new to me. And it was something as simple as an article in my little newspaper here about the Planned Parenthood, and right above it was another article about how they want us to support a levy, a health department levy for our county. And I made a few phone calls to Planned Parenthood, to something called NARAL, and found out all kinds of information. And I think, we all have brains, and people that, when it's broke down, why would we as taxpayers, and I now understand how the system works, the Title 10, family planning, I didn't know about any of that. But if our health departments, now in Ohio, now I don't know in other states, but if our health departments are doing the same services, STD,
they are.
mammograms, and if they are, then why would we want to pay out of our taxes, which everybody's taxed pretty much? So I just would like people to realize God gave you brains, and He gave us the ability to get out of our comfort zone and go. Prayer, yes, absolutely, number one. But then beyond that, do something yourself. And I don't know how many people live in the United States of America right now, but if 1/4 of those people were a regular presence with their legislators and their representatives and their senators and their congressmen, because you can just say, I don't believe it, but when you watch the videos, that's the powerful impact and message that normal people, like I went recycling yesterday, and the young lady, while she was giving me my check, I explained it to her pretty succinctly, and she's like, oh, I didn't know that.
Didn't know it. You know what? I'm going to have to interrupt you. Sorry, dear heart, but it's important. We have to close the show here in a few minutes. Everything you said is spot on. Here's the serious problem that we have. The Obama administration is saying it's perfectly legal for Planned Parenthood to harvest babies' organs. They are completely in cahoots with what's going on here. And like Dr. Deisher, my friend, said, you know, you don't have to be pro-life to oppose fetal harvesting. You know, regardless of whether someone is in favor of a woman's right to abort her baby or not, this is just something that a civilized society does not allow, does not condone or support. I mean, how could any American imagine fully what is happening in these clinics? This is what I'm trying to get across. We don't even allow prisoners condemned to death to be approached for donation because it's unethical. So, you know, as a society, we know this is wrong, but we have a government who is backing up Planned Parenthood at every turn. And what I say is, if we can't stop this, after all this has taken place, what are we going to do? Because if this doesn't stop it, we can't throw our hands up. We can't stop ever protesting. But it shows you what has happened to the human heart.
Keep up the good fight, Barbara McGuigan.
Thank you, Jack. God bless you. Thank you.
Who do you have Saturday on the good fight?
Oh, Saturday on the Good Fight is Rita Ford. We're going to be talking about I Believe in Love, the Little Flowers retreat by Father, well, it's a book written by Father Delby. And we will be, it's beautiful. It'll lift you up.
And we will be back at it tomorrow on Open Line with Father Mitch Packway in the house. Thursday we'll have Father Larry Richards, and Colin Donovan will be back in on Friday. On behalf of our host, Barbara McGuigan, our producer, Elena Rodriguez, our call screener, Matt Gabinski, I'm Jack Williams. Thanking you so much for tuning in today. Back at it again Wednesday with Father Mitch. Until then, God bless.